AM 1220 KDOW and Money 2.0 present The Real Estate Report with Tony Mendez and Gordon Hines. Bay Area real estate and mortgage experts with over 25 years in the business. Now, with an in-depth look at this week's local and national real estate news and what it means for you. Your hosts, Tony Mendez and Gordon Hines.
Welcome in. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
Thanks for joining us today on your Drive Time Special. This is the Real Estate Report.
We're here every Thursday from 6 to 7, sun up or sundown.
It's usually sun up.
No, sundown. Sundown would be PM, right? Sun up is AM. So it's usually sundown.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
Okay.
We've had too many of those today. We could definitely get into some interesting arguments. It is a live show, 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. Get your calls on the air. You can always email the show, info@bayarealoansource.com, and we also have a Facebook page. That's growing pretty quickly. We do Facebook Live after the show, and we talk about whatever you want to talk about. Last week, I don't think we did one last week. We had an opportunity to, but we had to rush out. But we will do one today. You can email us if you want a particular topic. Story continues to always be, our low rate environment, low inventory right now. Home prices are being driven by low inventory. But with those low interest rates, a lot of people, there's still a huge buyer pool right now. A lot of traffic, 30-year fixed at 3.83%. That is up from last week. 15-year is 3.13%, and the 5-year ARM at 3.17%, according to Freddie Mac Weekly Survey. Those are rates that a lot of people are looking at going, I want those rates, whether you're refinancing or purchasing, and it's driving a lot of the incentive. A lot of people are saying, you know what, stock market, I don't know about it. In fact, we're going to talk about that tonight. How the stock market has worked over the last many decades with the real estate market, and I think you're going to be surprised at some of the information about that. But this week, last week we talked about how we thought this was the bottom of the low interest rates for the year. Remember the year, and we were kind of right about that. And it's starting to look that the Fed, they're pretty dovish about their in their speech this week, and it's the third month in a row they've pretty much had the same speech, and the market investors were looking for something more. They were looking for something a little bit more aggressive, and they didn't change their forecast on their rate hikes. They still think there's going to be one in December, nor any of their forecasts for growth and inflation data. So basically rates are up because the Fed is a bit more optimistic than the investors are. So what we're seeing here is that's trickling down into mortgage rates. So it's the bond yields to the mortgage rates. And there's really not much else to talk about rates right now. As we get in the show, we might talk a little bit about scenarios, but interest rates are good, Gordon.
Well, we just got off of a blast into the third quarter, which is one of the peak sales quarters of the year, sales months of the year, actually, from the month of September and October, normally produces the best and the highest number of real estate sales. So this things we have to be bullish on, and rates kind of combined will help that inventory go further as it has planned. I'm seeing a lot of things coming across the wire. I'm seeing more property become listed here in the marketplace. Begin to see a little bit of price reductions. I'm noticing some of the price reduction we're seeing coming across the screens that we have, which will tell you, one, either the person priced the house too high and it didn't sell, or the market is kind of having a small temperature as far as property values are concerned. One way or the other, only time will tell which direction we're going to come up with.
That is a definite topic that is on a lot of Bay Area buyers' minds and owners' minds, is what is going to be the catalyst that changes the direction in which we're going. And right now it's just going up. A lot of people are worried that it's going to go down. In fact, we got a call today. It's like, I don't know if I want to get an ARM. I think I got stuck in it before. And the ARM, in this case, the ARM was the only one this guy qualified for. And he's like, I got stuck in that last time. I ended up with a short sale, and that's kind of why he's in an ARM. But he's a little worried, Gordon, about whether or not he's going to get stuck again. And I think we're hearing that more and more now.
Well, I personally think that in order for the market to change its current temperature, there has to be a catalyst. I kind of see there's a couple of catalysts that I see kind of brewing. I see this Korean crisis with these nuclear bombs testing could be that catalyst to kind of make the market do an overall change. The other catalyst could be what's going on with this Russian investigation with President Trump to see which direction that goes. If it leads to an impeachment, that is a catalyst going to change direction of the marketplace and the temperature. It's got to be something catastrophic to actually change the marketplace that we're in right now in order to see a downward turn.
Yeah, a lot of people would say it's healthy, and that something like that would need to happen for a downturn. One of the anomalies that we're seeing right now, just kind of stay on the tone of rates, is jumbo rates are pricing better than conforming rates. I'm sure you've noticed that.
Yeah, and we've got the great thing now. We've got many people now that come back. The seconds are back in the marketplace, so we can do the first and second combinations. Where before that was unheard of, and now we can do first and second combinations with fixed rate seconds instead of the HELOCs or the adjustable arms. So that flavor of the market has really made the jumbo market upswing, which kind of makes sense because prices now are the average price, depending on which market you're in, is past conforming. It's now in jumbo. A lot of these places, especially here in our area, in the Silicon Valley, San Francisco, high parts of Alameda, Contra Costa County. So you're seeing that jumbo is really having a good effect as far as those high price housing selling in the marketplace with a modest loan product, rates in the fours, which is a great deal, which is unheard of for a jumbo product.
They're very sensitive to credit score. You have to pay attention to your credit score if you want one of these good. If you want that rate, that the best jumbo rates is credit score driven, highly credit score driven. But there used to be a 1% difference between a jumbo loan rate and a conforming loan rate. And that's been shrinking. Now they've kind of crisscrossed. And if you have the good credit, the good equity, and I'm talking good credits, they go all the way. They have credit pricing adjustments all the way up to 800 credit score. So you get that 800 credit score, boom, you're getting the best rate. So be aware of that when you do it. But a typical client looking at, all right, I want to do 20% down, and somebody's offering them a first and second loan. I mean, I would look at a jumbo because you're number one, you're locking it in. Okay, at that low interest rate. And number two, you don't have to mess around with that higher interest rate second. But that appeals to some people, especially people who get bonuses, right? Let's say you get a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 bonus a year, and you go, okay, I just got a $150,000 second that helped me stay out of the jumbo. And then you pay that thing off over 2 or 3 or 4 years, and then you're left with a nice first loan that's lower. If you do a jumbo loan, one loan, and you start dumping money into it, your payment never changes. All it does is shorten your term. Instead of 30 years, it's 25 years or something like that.
And actually, that's a great thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. We compared one just 2 days ago, comparing a guy that was looking to buy a house for $800,000 rather than do a first and second combination or a straight one loan, no MI. I think the difference in payments was like $20. But for a guy who works for Google, looking at $40,000, $30,000, $50,000 bonuses per annum, soon if he can take that money and do principal reduction on that second, he can pay that second off in a 2-year period. And like you just said, have one low rate jumbo and help him build up his equity and help strengthen his position of equity in that property.
The caveat: jumbo loans are tough. We have a client now we're working with. We offered him one of these products. It turned out to be a lower price product, a better rate than the conforming, so we went with the jumbo. But before he made the decision, I said, you have to know that this is a harder loan. He's self-employed, so they're asking for everything: the P&Ls, the balance sheets,
the 1120, the corporate returns,
everything. And he's actually kind of happy that we set him up that way. And it kind of brings us to the whole thing about the reputation that the mortgage industry has, Gordon. It discourages a lot of people. We don't have the best reputation, especially over the last 8 years. And it's discouraged people from embracing the whole process, or at minimum, they have this preconceived notion about what to expect, mostly negative. And it's not getting any better, especially when there's loan agents, brokers, banks, lenders that are still out there misleading. They're dishonest, they're uneducated, they're unprofessional. And this includes the whole setup procedure as well that a lot of these large banks use in how they originate loans. A good example of that is, let's say a client goes into a bank in 2016, he gets a loan, he's got a lot of equity, and he wanted to refinance and reduce his payment by, let's say, about $100 or something like that, but he had mortgage insurance. All right. Well, when he got through the whole process, the lender never told him that mortgage insurance has got up. So instead of saving the $200 a month and keeping the same mortgage insurance, they had to refinance out and put another mortgage insurance on that was higher. So this is the kind of thing you're talking about when you're working with these large banks and they suck you in to their whole process, which is there just to get you in the door, get you locked in with maybe even an application fee, which they'll say, oh, by the way, you'll get this when you finish the loan. An appraisal fee, by the way, we'll pay for this when you finish the loan. And they lock you in, and then they give you this kind of junk where, oh, you didn't save as much as you thought because we had to get you new mortgage insurance. This is just one example of how it can go sideways.
Well, our business is a tough business as we talk. I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars, especially as prices begin to increase. It's a complicated business. So I think you have to be very knowledgeable in our business in today's marketplace if you want to be a successful loan officer, loan person. A lot of these bigger companies, they don't train people for knowledge or success. They train them just to follow the patterns of that specific company. So therefore, if there's a challenge in a bar with challenge credit, different financials are different than the standard pay stub and W-2. They got K-1s, they got losses, they got depreciation, and some of these things can become very complex, and that can be the difference your loan being approved or declined. And that's where we come in. It's how we are successful. We get a lot of those loans that other places aren't as diligent as quite in understanding what to do or what not to do, and that's why we've been successful. That's why we've been here through the great times and the bad times and the slow times, and that's why I think we're still here. We are a prodigy of success. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I got to call a fact when I see it.
But you have to admit, though, the industry has changed quite a bit to make it easier for borrowers to get their applications in, to process those W-2s and things like that. So it's gotten a lot easier. What other changes have you seen over the last 5 or 6 years?
Well, I mean, first of all, when there was a catastrophic event, as I mentioned earlier, everything was bad. So now, in order to make things good, you almost have to be twice as good. So instead of asking for one piece of documentation, they're asking for 10 pieces of documentation. So now as the market has begun to pick back up, now they're seeing the formula that they should have had in place to begin to work. Right. Now you're seeing lenders now beginning to ease off in the documents that we're asking for. We no longer ask for tax returns anymore. We go ahead and get the 4506 transcripts. If you're a W-2 employee, we just need a W-2 and 1 month worth of pay stub. So I'm seeing process is getting a little bit easier, and that's because of defaults, and that's because, as we talk with the QM mortgage, qualified mortgage, everybody now that gets a mortgage technically is qualified to get a mortgage. There's no more free cheese in our business, so it's made our business better, it's made the due diligence better, and it's leading to a better, more healthier financial environment, and that's what we're all concerned about at the end of the day.
Well, it's all said and done, it is getting easier. Again, we were talking earlier about jumbo loans. And a lot of people out there are getting them. The median home price here in the Bay Area is $805. You put 20% down, you're in a jumbo loan. Oh, barely, just barely though. You put another $10,000 down, you're in a conforming, and you might need that easy. Well, it's also they have tighter debt ratios on jumbo, so you might have to go that extra $10,000 to get to that conforming limit. So there's definitely some separation between the two types of products. But we're good. We're very happy to see these kind of changes coming around. And we're very happy that we've embraced them, and there are some good loan officers and good companies out there that have as well. You're welcome to call the show, 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. Email the show, Tony@BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com. He's itching for an email, I know it. Gordon@BayAreaLoanSource.com.
No, I'm itching for a fax.
No, we're not going to get a fax.
925-299-5395.
We'll come back after this break here on AM 1220 KDOW.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I am Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
And out the air, we were trying to price out one of your rehabs that you're doing.
Yeah, just trying to check the temperature to see if these guys are ripping me off or not.
Oh, $12,000 to lay some tile. I don't know. I'm sure if you get that's the thing about doing the renovations. I've had people that they make really good money, and they have a really good idea about what they want to do in their house, and then they go out and they get a contractor, and they are so disappointed. I mean, like, stuff's leaking. There's separation in the where the caulk is supposed to be. I mean, it's just even the little things, and I mean. You have to say, Gordon, in that type of industry, you really do get your bang for the buck when you pay the extra dollar for a good contractor.
You pay for what you get. I've got some clients right now that are just crying every day. They bought actually a beautiful property. They got a really good deal on this thing. It was a fire commercial residential property mixed use that had some fire damage, and it was a total rehab. Definitely not a job for an amateur. And these guys, this was their first rodeo, and they keep falling off the horse because they've done everything wrong, from the layout to design to the entrances. I mean, everything is. And a lot of times, when you're an amateur, you don't see these things, the pitfalls, until the stuff is already in. Then you got to pay double to get somebody to take it out and reinstall it the right way. And I think that's the challenge. They're about $200,000 right now over budget, and the project is still not done.
What do you do as a first time? I don't want to say flipper or reseller. Somebody who's interested in buying a house, fixing it up, spending 2 or 3, 4 years there, then selling it, and then doing that again and again and again. What do you tell that person that's doing it, or that couple or whoever, the first time they're doing it? Is there a way they can get some education on it, or do you just count on, the people that are around you that are advising you?
Well, I always tell people is, what's 100% of nothing? Piggyback. Team up with somebody who has done it. Be an apprentice. Follow the lead. Just watch what they do, and if it's a successful formula, then repeat it. If it's a not successful formula, then correct the imperfections in what they did in their project. But to go out and try to do it on your own, it looks pretty simple, but there's so many pitfalls that can actually set yourself up and don't even realize it till you're halfway inside the project.
So you've done quite a few of these. How many do you think you've done in the last 3 or 4 years?
Probably at least 20 rehabs.
20? Okay.
Yeah. So,
all in the Bay Area.
Yeah, all in the Bay Area. And each one of them, I kind of get better and better because there's less mistakes. I can see things coming that I didn't see before, especially when you have to go through the permit process and you deal with the inspector and getting things signed off and kind of getting the things all coordinated so the less the inspector comes out, the faster the project can move, the more efficient the project can be. I mean, time is money. I've got a guy right now that's building a house, and he's trying to rush now to get all the framing to cover it up before the rain comes, because if he doesn't, he's going to have to wait till next year. So these are all the things you have to know. Time of the year, timing is everything, and make sure you just consult with the right professional. You'll be all right.
It's a little early to start promoting it, but we're going to do a seminar about this in, I think, January. It's going to be in East Bay, maybe Pleasanton, maybe Walnut Creek. We'll see. But you're going to be there. You're an expert. You are active in doing this, and we're going to have some other professionals there as well. And we're going to talk not just about reselling houses or renovating houses, but other real estate ideas as well. I think it's an interesting story about a study that was done by the Berkeley Institute of Government Studies. More Bay Area residents looking to move out of the area, showing that more than half of its residents are residents. Dream of escaping this expensive region, and they're finding an urge to flee. A new poll that was done said that 65% of the Bay Area's registered voters and 48% of all Californians describe the issue of housing affordability as an extremely serious problem. And the poll found that almost 51% of the Bay Area residents have considered moving out of the 9-county region, compared with 56% statewide. So it's getting quite expensive. And what's interesting about the study, and by the way, $804,000 is the median home price, up 10.1% a year early. And we are going to talk a little bit later about an email that we got from James. And he's like, I want to get in, but I keep going, his home price is going to come down. I do it 10.1% year over year. But they're pointing out millennials. And millennials are the majority of the people who are saying that they want to move out of this area. And there's a whole other story that...
Yeah, I've got a story right here.
They're not saving money. That student loans are keeping them from saving money.
College debt is a killer for millennials in buying houses, saving a down payment. And I've got a story right here. I printed off the web, and I thought it was pretty interesting that where it's leading the millennials too. And that's the reason why a lot of them are doing shared housing, as we talk in the programs. A
lot more co-borrowers.
Commingling equity. Equity agreements, equity partnerships. Somebody called me about the other day. So, hey, where there's a will, there's a way. You just got to kind of learn how to work through it.
We're going to come back after this break. You can always call the show 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220, or email the show, Tony at BayAreaLoanSource.com, or Gordon, he's itching for an email, at BayAreaLoanSource.com.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
All right, stop, collaborate and listen. I sit back with my brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly.
You almost want to just keep listening to the song because you haven't heard it forever. Some people have never heard that song. Oh, ages 30 to 39 in California, 69% have considered moving out of California. Statewide, that's 56%, but renters is 67%. And there's a reason why, Gordon, that you have the millennials saying it's just too expensive in California. And that's because they aren't saving enough money, according to the National Association of Realtors. And I don't know who the American Students Assistants, a new study found that only 20% of millennials were currently own a home, and that they are typically carrying a student debt load of $41,200 that surpasses their annual income of $38,800. Most respondents borrowed money to finance their education for a 4-year college. 79% of them did, and slightly over half are repaying a balance of over $40,000. Among the 80% of millennials in the survey who said they did not own a home, 83% believe their student loan debt has affected their ability to buy.
Sound like politics. You find a lot of, you say to yourself, why would a politician spend $25 million to get a seat that pays $100,000 of annual income, right? So it's the same thing. So a millennium is burdening themselves with $41,000 in student debt, and their annual income is only $38,000. So I guess there got to be some formula to factor in to see when would that $41,000 student debt be actually paid off, assuming they paid, let's say they paid off 10% per year. 10% would be $3,800.
We're in the mortgage business.
Times
you can
10
borrow
years.
3, 4, or 5 times the amount that you actually make.
Yeah, so it's 10 years basically it would take you to pay off that student loan. If you're paying off 10% per year
Sure.
of your annual salary, $38,000.
Yeah,
That's
but
interesting.
that debt gets carried over into what they call your debt ratio, and it. But it's not just that. It's you look at the Bay Area, and it's $800,000 median home price. Let's just say you're buying the median home price, and 20% down is $160,000. If you're putting 10%, even 5% away every month to your student loans, and then you're paying what a lot of people consider the highest rents in the whole nation, maybe New York will beat it. And where's leftover? You have a $1,000 phone with a $200 bill every month. You may or may not have a car, but you're spending something on traveling, and then you're going out. I mean, it's tough, Gordon. We're looking at places like Sacramento. We have a client that works at Google. The second time that we talked about an employee at Google who said, I can work remote. And he moved to Sacramento and bought a $300,000 house. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. And Sacramento home prices were up double digits, 14, 15% year over year. Places like Reno are hitting new highs in median home price and rents and lowest vacancies they've ever seen. So this is spreading out more and more and more. And we a show like this, Gordon, we would hope to have some sort of solution. And there's low down payment programs. There's 5% down jumbo loans you get. You still have to qualify. And it's the qualifying that's starting to hurt. The products are there now. Where, in fact, there's a product update we have right here. If you have a short sale, a lot of jumbo lenders are saying that you have to go 7 years. Lenders are coming back. We use them that say you can go 2 years, even 4 years from a short sale. These type of products are coming back. So where's the relief for these people who are saying, I want to leave California? It's just too dang expensive.
Well, I grew up in New York. So if you look at the nucleus of New York, the 5 boroughs, and you look at how expensive it is to live in the city, the same thing kind of happened over the years, many, many years. A lot of people move out to the suburbs. Long Island is one. Some people move to the neighboring states, New Jersey, Connecticut, all feeding off the city for employment and income and kind of taking that income back out to their local communities. And that's why you see all the communities around this, the hub, which is New York City, are beginning to flourish. And that's exactly what's happening here in the Bay Area. San Francisco being our hub for Northern California. And you look like Oakland, and you look at down the peninsula, and now you're talking Sacramento, and you're talking Tracy and Stockton. All those communities are feeding off the hub of San Francisco. That's where the money's at.
If you have any questions, you call the show 800-516-1220, especially about these new jumbo products. We're going to continue to talk about this because when you're at an $800,000 purchase price, you're still in a jumbo loan with 20% down, so you got to know what works for you. You can always email the show, Tony at BayAreaLoanSource.com or Gordon at BayAreaLoanSource.com. He's itching for an email. We'll be right back here on AM 1220 KDOW.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Well, I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm going. I'm on my way.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I am Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
You can always go to our website, BayAreaLoanSource.com, to find out more information about what we do. We're in the mortgage business, real estate business. We've been doing the show for over 6 years, and we're happy to say that. We have a great following. You can always go to our Facebook. It's the Real Estate Report radio show, and it's our good group. We do Facebook Lives after the show. I'm not sure what we're going to do about today yet. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do it about this email that we got from James. We'll get to that in just a second. I just want to hit one more time on this jumbo. $805,000 the median home price in the Bay Area, Gordon. With 20% down, that's what, $160,000 loan. You're still in jumbo, but let's say you buy 900, you're definitely in jumbo. And if you had a short sale or a foreclosure or anything like that, there's usually a 7-year wait period, but a lot of lenders are starting to cut back on that. You can go 2 years, 4 years, and they're going to have different levels of products. So there is some hope for people who have had that on their record.
There's going to be tiered pricing, depending on how long ago
pricing,
your financial event has been.
But it's the farther you get away from that standard, the rates go higher. So you have to kind of accept that as you go along. This email came from James. He's in the Bay Area. And I love this comment. He says, every time I look at buying a house, I get caught up in the price and we get scared away. I guess him and his other person. Most of it is that we are concerned about losing our down payment if house values drop. And he goes on about how he has concerns about Trump and the rates and things like that. But then 3 months later, the house prices are even higher. And then another 3 months later, or go by, and they're even higher. And the funny thing is that we can afford the house payment, including the down payment. And, I get a mixed message, Gordon, from a person like this. One, he wants to buy a house. And then two, he's worried about when he sells the house. So, if you want to buy a house and you're buying it because you want to own it, you're getting tax write-offs, you're building equity. You need, of course, you need the down payment for the mortgage. So in one sentence, he's saying he wants to own, and the next he's worried about losing the money that he's putting into it. So which is it? So what do you make of a client? And there's a lot of people like this. These people that are sitting on the sidelines, and they're watching 10.1% of increase year over year in the Bay Area for the last how many years?
He's on the fence. It's like golf. I like to play a lot of golf, and one of the things they talk about in golf is to trust your swing. And what that means is stop thinking about it, going through those picture-perfect swing. You have to trust your swing. So his factor is worried about if he's going to lose his down payment with depreciation. If you're buying a house because you like the house, it satisfies the needs, you can live close to your in-laws, close to your work, that's your most important issue. Forget the money you spent. You have to pay for housing no matter where you stay, whether you stay in an apartment or you stay in your own house. So I think he's kind of overthinking the scenario too much. Buy a house that you like. The house, one thing, it will appreciate. It's a long-term investment, as we always talk. That's the reason why the average mortgage is 30 years. So things are going to happen during that 30-year period. There's going to be ups and downs. But I think if you go through if we did the statistic going way back 30 years ago, there were some slight valleys, but there were more peaks than valleys as far as appreciation is concerned. He will not lose his down payment in the long run. He's just kind of thinking about it too much. That's what I see with him.
Yeah, to James, the buyer, I'd say buying a house is long term. When you buy, you can afford it, or you buy when you can afford it. You get the write-offs. You're building some principal, and you hope for appreciation. Okay. To James, the flipper or speculator, you've been missing out on year-over-year returns. Right now it's 10.1% year-over-year, and not including the write-offs and depreciation. So we're in a market where prices are driven by supply and demand. We don't have a lot of supply, and there's a lot of demand. And there's a likelihood that these conditions will continue, barring the fact that we could have higher interest rates. And it's already been proven, I guess that's kind of an objective opinion, but it's been proven that rates can go as high as 5% without it affecting affordability. And then you got the stock market or that catastrophic event that you've been talking about.
Well, there are many things that does affect, as we mentioned earlier, the change in the marketplace. I think that, but if you are a person that's looking to purchase a house for residency, you're not a speculator, you're not an investor, there will be changes in the marketplace. We already know that based on history. Trying to speculate, rather you're going to lose your down payment where the value is going to go up, to me is a moot point. You're buying a house for the enjoyment of owning that house. And then once you own that house, over time you will make money. That property will appreciate, and you won't lose anything. He's not a speculator.
I like this. This is the quote of the day. It comes from Robert Shiller. I think everybody in real estate might know who it is. Yale professor. He's won the Nobel Prize. He wrote a book called Irrational Exuberance. He's also the so-called predictor of the market crash in the early 2000s in the stock market. He commented on the markets being overvaluated and said, "I wouldn't call it healthy. I'd call it obese. But some of these obese people live to be 100 years old, so you never know."
Yeah.
So.
and typically, if you read his columns, he's pretty much a pessimist, in my opinion. His articles are always written on the pessimistic side. I would call this an optimistic side for him if he's thinking an obese person going to outlive a skinny person, which it does happen. But I guess the probability in a random sample, he might be incorrect, but anything is possible in this marketplace that we're in right now.
He always comes across like he's baffled why the stock market and the housing market continues going up. Yet the S&P Case-Shiller index predictions showed exactly what's happening right now. 5 years ago, it showed that prices would peak, level off, which they haven't yet, and then they would go up, but they would not go down. Go look it up. It's really interesting to see this. They go up, they flatten out somewhere around 2017, 2018, and then they go back. It goes up to like 2025 or something like that.
Well, I had a client this week I was talking about. He's looking to refinance his house. He has a lot of debt, so we're looking to kind of consolidate some debt. And he mentioned to me that he had about $500,000 in the stock market last year. His stockbroker told him to take it out of the market because he's 55 years old now. He needs to get more conservative in his approach. He took his money out of the stock market and put it in the bank into a money market fund. He said that move has cost him about $100,000 in equity in that 1 year period of time because the advice came from a stockbroker. So once again, we always push the professionals, of course, but sometimes it's got to make sense. Timing is everything in life, and right now he missed out on that time. He said, "Gordon, I wish I had left my stocks in there. I could sell some of that stock to pay off some of my consumer debt. But now I'm in a money market fund making 1-2%, and my money's tied up for 3 years, and it's not really a great financial move he's made. He has regretted."
You can always call the show 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. I think this is interesting. The KB Homes CEO, he's been punished by his company for yelling profanities at Kathy Griffin, his neighbor. He's been docked 25% of his bonus for that. Wow. I don't think that's got to be millions of dollars, I'm sure. But don't yell at your neighbors, I think is the story. We'll come back after this break. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines. It's the Real Estate Report. We'll be right back.
This is Money 2.0 on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back into the Real Estate Report. I'm Tony Mendez.
And I'm Gordon Hines.
You can always call the show 800-516-1220, 800-516-1220. We got a call not too long ago. Somebody wanted to talk about the Donald Trump real estate tax plan. Not sure exactly which tax plan he's talking about. Maybe it's about the interest deduction, Gordon?
Well, Donald Trump just listed a series of things that he wants to propose for his tax plan that he wants to propose to the GOP. A few quick scenarios I saw. He wants to cut the number of tax brackets instead of all these, 28, 30, 40%, just cutting down to one. The great thing for our business, he wants to leave the mortgage deduction to be the same. A lot of times that comes up as getting rid of the mortgage deduction, but I think it would be a catastrophic event in the housing market. He also wants to cut capital gain, which everybody's talking about getting it down to 20%. I think we're the highest, our corporations pay the highest capital tax in the world. He also wants to reduce corporate debt, and there are many things you can go look up and see what his tax plan is. But as far as real estate is concerned, the great thing I see is if everything goes as planned, leave the mortgage deduction in the status quo.
I think there was also one thing in there as well about the 1031 exchange. 1031 and I think they were looking at reducing some of the benefits on that as well. And I'm sure he's just looking for some ways to bolster some of his other programs that he's looking for some money for that. I'm going to cut it here and get it from rob Peter and pay Paul kind of scenario. But a lot of people look at the 1031 exchange as a valuable tool. Tell us, Gordon, in your words, what a 1031 exchange is.
Well, I mean, first, when any tax plan, I think in order to cut taxes, you have to find a way to pay for it, to finance it. So something's got to give. It's an equation. For every action is the equal opposite reaction. I think that's Einstein's theory. A 1031 exchange basically is if you have a income producing property and you sell that property, you can defer the amount of taxable liability you have by buying a property of equal exchange or greater, a like property exchange, and defer that that income tax portion to whenever you sell that asset. So if you have a rental house today, for example, you sell it for $300,000, you do a 1031 exchange, you buy another rental property for at least $300,000. The gain that you made on that first property, you roll that gain into the cost base of the next property, and you continue to roll that property, so you never have to pay a capital gain. That's the whole thought process between 1031 exchanges.
Yeah, we've had quite a few comments.
We have quite a few experts to come on and talk about 1031 exchanges.
Yeah, in fact, let's get them on next week or two and get our 1031 guy on. And I think it's a great tool for investors. A lot of people are saying, you know what, I got a lot of equity here, or maybe they have a property they don't like and they want to improve their property. 1031 exchange is perfect. You go through a service. They handle all the money. You have a certain amount of time to identify a property, and then you have another certain amount of time to close on that property so that you can follow the rules to defer these taxes. But it's not just limited to buying one, taking one property and buying another property. You can take multiple properties and roll them into one, or you can take one property and roll it into many properties. You can even buy a property and then after a period of time, I can't quote it at this moment, but it's like 2 years, I think, and you move into the property, and as long as you don't sell it or until you die, you can still defer the taxes. So there's a lot of tools that that you can use with the 1031 exchange. And I think, with Trump, he may say, well, I want a little bit of taxes from that because, there's some equity built there. There's, and you've depreciated this property. We've given you those write-offs, and we want to get some of that money back.
Yeah, and in an appreciated market where we are right now, where property values are at all-time highs, there are a lot of people out there that are selling properties that have huge capital gain that sometimes they don't realize it till after they're meeting with a tax person. That's why it's always good to get good advice before you sell an asset. Sit down. Hey, what are the tax ramifications of this asset? If I sell it, should I sell it? Should I sell it? Should I 1031 exchange it? Should I defer it? Should I gift it to my kids? Always talk to your tax planner before you sell anything. You could be rudely surprised at what amount of tax you're going to pay.
Yeah, and more often you need a CFP, financial planner, to get involved that can help you with a trust as well. We'll come back next week. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget about our Facebook Live. We'll be right after the show. You can go to the Real Estate Report Radio Show. The Real Estate Report Radio Show will be back next week. Thanks for listening. I'm Tony Mendez. That's Gordon Hines, and this is the Real Estate Report.
Thanks for listening.